Okay. Hi, I'm Jamie from Sci-Fivision. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah. You're
So
in outer space right now. That's
yep,
crazy. How do you have a
I'll float
signal
around
out
tomorrow.
there? Yeah.
Very good one.
You're an alien. This is so cool.
Yeah,
I've never done one with an alien before. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
I know. What was it about the part that made you want to be a part of it?
Who doesn't love a post-apocalyptic story? Name one person. I don't know if they exist. They're not real. They're an alien. That's it. I mean, that was my main attraction was that storyline. And then to learn about Jenna as the matriarch was a cherry on top, right? I didn't even know what the characters were, but I love these storylines. I think anytime you tell anybody, what's Homestead about? Oh, it's a post-apocalyptic story about they're like, oh, I love that. I'm like, I didn't even tell you what the story was about. That's all they need. That's all they need to know.
Did you know when you first signed on that they were doing the movie and the series and that you'd be a part of both?
I think I knew it was going to be a series, and then later I learned that what they were doing was they were coupling the first two episodes into a feature film, which I thought was a great idea. And I think more programming should be like that, so we can get the experience of the theater, and then we can bring it home and let everybody watch it from the comfort of their own TVs.
You can draw people in that way too.
Yeah.
So what did you find the easiest and the hardest to connect with character-wise?
Well, the easiest was playing a strong woman in charge of things. The hardest was playing that woman in the very beginning of the arc that I've built here. She is a woman, a married woman that has she's not as in charge as her husband is. In my real life, I am the husband and the wife essentially. I'm in charge of my homestead and my particular I have a horse rescue in Arkansas. And so like I run it like a man that's a woman. You know? But so for this character to be a woman that's still, she has allegiance to her husband and she defers to him to take the power seat. So that part for me is difficult just as a person. So I have to create that character of that more of like a gentle woman that has somebody that takes care of things, you know. So that was probably my harder part to tweak for myself. I always
Was
play
there
really strong characters, and there's a reason because I'm a very strong girl. Yeah.
I was gonna say, was there anything outside of the character that you found difficult at all that you struggled with, just in general?
Outside of the character. I mean, anytime you start a new show and you know there's longevity there, nobody is very clear on who you are yet. You don't know. You're trying to fumble around and figure it out, and everyone else is fumbling around at the same time. It's just that's the way when you start anything, it's always like that, right? It's why when you watch a series, the pilot always feels a little
A little
clunky.
different.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
always is. It's because we're all trying to figure it out, right? We're trying to like, we have nothing to watch. We got no visual. There's no cohesive sort of joining together yet. But once you're able to watch or feel or experience and everybody clicks in, you're like, okay, now we know what we're doing a little bit. We have a little bit of a clear perspective on what this is. So that's always, but I've done this now for a while. So I'm aware of that. I know that that's what it's going to be. It's like, okay, let's just suck for a minute and get through this part, right? And then we'll get it, and then we're going to be great. So that's it.
Were they like sort of, I guess, open collaborative to adding things to your character? I know some shows are different. It kind of depends
Oh
on,
yeah.
structure.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, no, this something that I really like about this. It can go both ways, right? You can have some sets that you really like that they know exactly what they want.
Yeah.
It's very clear. Do not change the writing. You say every word that's written, and that's how it goes. This show is different for a few reasons because we have a story that's been cultivated from a book series, right? So there's novels being written about this journey. And to make that crossover, there's a bit of residual sort of pontification that you have to just trim the fat off of. And they are very open to navigating that within a scene. And that means if there's some words that you can feel more comfortable saying in a certain sense, then you're given the allowance to do that. I mean, don't abuse it, because if you're not good
Yeah.
at it, like they're not gonna let you keep doing it.
You're not the writer. You can't redo
That's
everything.
right. Like stick to the act. But in some cases, we've come together and we've found moments and just by being there that weren't written and they're like, yeah, go get that. We love that. It's one of our favorite scenes that you did that on. So you sort of have to just be sensitive to the fact what's good and what's appropriate. And when you can figure that out, it's a refinement of the craft of acting, of emotionality, of relationship. But when you can do that and you can do that well, then by all means, they're welcome to it. They're like, great, give us more of that.
You make me wonder though, is there something that sticks out that you remember you added or changed or something for the better?
Um, There's one scene I can think of that we did a lot of just tailoring in the moment. It's a scene that comes up after the film, so it's not something I can talk about.
Right.
But that scene, sometimes when you just put two decent actors together, you find things that weren't there before. And why would you know? To me, that's some of the most beautiful pieces of moments when you can do that. And there's a scene that I got to I can't talk about that scene because it hasn't come up yet, but there is certainly a scene that I'm in a tent that you could watch that scene and know that it was fairly different on the page.
Okay, we'll have to look for it then when
Okay.
the series comes
Me in
out.
a tent, look for that scene. Yeah.
Okay, talk about working with Neil in the film.
Niels is such an interesting character. He will go from like being on his phone before a take, and then they'll call action, and he just becomes this whole thing, and you're just like, wow, how did you just do that? And his character, at least this part initially, is very focused on the conflict at hand, and I think it lends itself to a really interesting dynamic in a relationship between two married people because I'm over here, his wife, being like, hey, just trust in miracles. And he's just like, I can't even, like, whatever you're doing, just, I can't. It's not, I need to focus on what is the grain. I need to focus on our issue of food, lack of food. Like, that's what I focus. And I'm like, God's going to make it all fine. And he just can't hear that. And it's a great reflection, I feel like, of the masculine mind and the feminine heart. Feminine heart's always like, just trust, you just believe, have faith, it'll be there. And the guy's like, no, I gotta push, I gotta bull my way through everything, through life, because without pushing, nothing happens. So these two characters are just, for me, so accurate in a sense. And the fact that the storyline lends itself to allowing that heart-centered movement to sort of take a front row leading seat, that what she's choosing actually to show the progression of how it works to make choices like that, that's really unique and special for a program to have that. So I am very excited to be able to usher that paradigm into the mainstream a little bit more than it is now.
Great. Well, I enjoyed it so far. I'm excited to see
Yeah.
the rest.
Okay,
So,
good.
all
Okay.
right. Well, thanks so much. Have a good
Thank
rest
you.
of the day.
Okay.
Bye
You
bye.
too.